व्रजजन रञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रजजन रञ्जन यमुनतीरा वनचारि यमुनतीरा वनचारि जय रात माधव कुञ्ज विहारी जय रात माधव कुञ्ज विहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरदा हरि जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरदा हरि यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनतीरा वनचारि यमुनतीरा वनचारि जय राधमाधव कुञ्ज विहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा शील प्रभुपदा एवं विष्णुपाद हम च पर्यच्च सदा इसको संस्था प्राचल शील प्रभुपाद की जय एवं विष्णु हम च पर्यच्च सदा श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत दर्शन को स्वयं महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय एवं विश्वास और विश्वदासवाद महाराज की जय एवं विश्वास सच्चिदानंद शिल भक्ति ठाकुरा की जय एवं विश्वनाथ वैष्णव साधु महाराज की जय जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जी गोपाल भट्टदास अविनाश गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय नमाचार्य श्रीदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत दादा शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड के योजन की जय श्री मायापुर धाम की जय श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय गंगमई की जय मनमई की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी देवी की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय इस्कॉन पद्मा गुरुवंद की जय समाप्त भक्तिवंद की जय गौरव प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल all glories to the assembled all glories to the assembled all glories to the assembled all glories to Guru and Sri Gauranga all glories to Srila Prabhupada ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswati vyasam tato jayamdimshaye अष्टप्रायेषु अपत्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिः. Hare Krishna, welcome to the Friday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20, text 37, 38. It's 37. Bhagavan api rajarshehe स्वोपाध्यायस्य चाच्युतः हरन् इव मनोमुष्य स्वधाम प्रत्यपद्यत. Translation say what we say. The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead, having captivated the minds of the king and the priests who were present, returned to his abode in the spiritual sky. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all spiritual, he can descend from the spiritual sky without changing his body, and thus he is known as Achyuta or infallible. When a living entity falls down to the material world, however, he has to accept a material body, and therefore in his material embodiment he cannot be called Achyuta. Because he falls down from his real engagement in the service of the Lord, the living entity gets a material body to suffer or try to enjoy in the miserable material conditions of life. Therefore, the fallen living entity is Chuta, whereas the Lord is called Achyuta. The Lord was attractive for everyone, not only the king, but also the priestly order, who were very much addicted to the performance of Vedic rituals. Because the Lord is all attractive, he is called Krishna, or one who attracts everyone. The Lord appeared in the sacrificial arena of Maharaja Prithu as Kshirodakasai Vishnu, who is a plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. He is the second incarnation from Karanodakasai Vishnu, who is the origin of material creation, and who expands as Garbhodakasai Vishnu, who then enters into each and every universe. Kshirodakasai Vishnu is one of the Purushas who control the material modes of nature. Text 38. अदृष्टाय नमस्कृत्य नृपस्सन्तर्षितात्मने अव्यक्ताय च देवानां देवाय स्वपुरं ययौ. Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. King Prithu then offered his respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Lord of all demigods. Although not an object of material vision, the Lord revealed himself to the sight of Maharaj Prithu. After offering obeisances to the Lord, the king returned to his home. The Supreme Lord is not visible to material eyes, but when the material senses are inclined to the transcendental loving service of the Lord and are thus purified, the Lord reveals himself to the vision of the devotee. Avyakta means unmanifested. Although the material world is the creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is unmanifested to the material eyes. Maharaja Prithu, however, develops spiritual eyes by his pure devotional service. Therefore, the Lord is described as Sandarshitatma, for he reveals himself to the vision of the devotee, although he is not visible to ordinary eyes. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the fourth canto, 28th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Sri Vishnu's appearance in the sacrificial arena of Maharaja Prithu. Omagyanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilidamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Hena Bhutale Swayam Bhakadamahyam Dadati Dantikam Pandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamaram Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakirsatam Saudanirgunatam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savdutam Bharjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्ते नमामि हरिप्रिय वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. मोहन करोति वाचालं पंकजं हरिं देशे गरुडं परमं श्री चैतन्येश्वरं. Hare Krishna. So in the last two concluding verses of this current chapter, we see some very important points. In text number 37 is mentioned as to how the Lord is called infallible or Achyuta. That means we are called fallible or Chuta because when we fall down from the spiritual world to the material world, we fall down from our position, and then we get a material body in which we get some enjoyment or suffering in the condition of material life. But the Lord, when He comes here, He appears in His self same spiritual body. Uh, we are not in a position to visualize that spiritual body of the Lord because the Lord doesn't have a material body. And even though the Lord appears in this material world, He does not fall down from His position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is why He is called infallible, and in Sanskrit, the word used is Achyuta. But we fall down from the spiritual world to the material world, and we get a material body here, and that is why we are called Chuta. Now, the Lord may appear in his spiritual body, but the thing is, the Lord, as well as his expansions, his incarnations, all of them, they are infallible. Not only Lord Krishna, all his incarnations are infallible. And Arjuna himself describes in Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter, he says, O Lord, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those who are present on both the sides. With And he wanted to see who are those who are with whom with he wanted to fight. So the Lord is the supreme personality of Godhead, but out of his costless mercy, he appears in this material world for many purposes. And one of the reasons is that he wanted to engage the service of his friend. So even though the Lord took the position of a chariot driver, the Lord does not fall down from his position. In fact, a chariot driver's position is very, very menial in the material world. But still, the Lord agreed to accept that position to serve Arjuna because Arjuna was a great dear devotee of the Lord. So he did not hesitate to take up that menial service. That is the position of the Lord. So he does not come down from the Supreme Personality of Godhead's position to that of a chariot driver. Just because he takes that position, his position as a Supreme Godhead does not change. So the relationship between the Lord and his devotees is very, very sweet and transcendental. Just as the servant wants to serve the Lord. Similarly, the Lord is also looking for an opportunity to serve his devotee, of course, pure devotees. So, if for that, he doesn't mind assuming the position of uh, even a chariot driver. In fact, to such pure devotees like Arjuna, he accepts, rather, he takes pleasure in his devotee giving orders to the Lord. So that is how Arjuna also told the Lord to draw the chariot in between both the sides. So the Lord takes pleasure when a pure devotee gives him some order. So this is what is called transcendental pleasure, not the normal material pleasure. And he remains infallible in all circumstances. The next point that is mentioned is that the Lord name is Krishna. The very name Krishna means he is all attractive or who attracts everyone. So Krishna is full of many opulences, but these opulences are classified into six categories: knowledge, wealth, power, beauty, fame, and renunciation. Like all their opulences also are classified into this. And Krishna is full of these. And one of these is that uh, beauty. That means Krishna is so beautiful, we can't describe his beauty with our material words. There is no words to describe Krishna's beauty. But the very word Krishna means he is all attractive. And in the definition, the first canto itself, there's a mention where it says that Krishna is the central pivot of living beings, and he is all attractive living entity or eternal form amongst all other living beings or eternal forms. And each and every living being has his eternal form in the spiritual existence. And Krishna is the eternal attraction for all of them. That means the point is that Krishna is the most attractive of all the forms that includes all his incarnations. All the forms of the Lord are attractive, but Krishna is the most attractive. Not only that, even our original spiritual form has an attraction, eternal attraction for the Lord. But because we have no appreciation for the Lord's beauty, we are not able to understand that. So Krishna is attractive to everyone, to all the living being, including all the forms, species of life, not only human beings. That is why we see that there are so many pastimes where even animals uh, have had some pastimes with the Lord, like Gajendra. Similarly, there is a quote in the first canto itself where it says Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is attractive not only in his personal feature, but also in his transcendental activities. It is because the Lord is absolute. And so everything that is related to the Lord, that is the Lord, his name, his form, his pastimes, all are on the absolute platform. So Lord is attractive, the Lord's form is attractive, the Lord's name is attractive, and the Lord's pastimes are also very attractive. This is an extraordinary feature of Lord Krishna. Then there is a quote, the Nectar of Devotion, which says that the personal beauty of the Lord is so extensive that it is beyond our description. But the Lord wears ornaments on his body. When we wear ornaments, we beautify our body. But when the Lord wears ornaments, the beauty of the ornaments is enhanced by the beauty of the Lord. That means the ornaments which the Lord is wearing, their beauty gets enhanced just because Krishna wore those garments, ornaments. Similarly, Srila Rupa Goswami states in one place that one day Krishna saw his own beauty in front of a mirror. And now there is no mention of what mirror it is, but then he saw his reflection. It's mentioned a jeweled background. So those days there was no mirror, so they used to use jewels to see their reflection. Krishna once saw his own reflection, and he was wondering that I have never seen such a beautiful form like this. And alas, upon seeing this bodily reflection, he expressed how wonderful it is that I have seen my such a beautiful form, and that it is attractive to each and every one in this material world, or not only in the material world, in the spiritual world also. Similarly, Srila Rupa Goswami mentions, there's some similarly mentioned that Krishna's flute is also attractive. Like I mentioned, Krishna is not only Krishna is attractive, anything related to Krishna is also attractive. And the sound vibration that is created by the flute of Krishna, when he plays the flute, it stopped even Lord Shiva from playing his drum. And the same flute has caused a lot of disturbance to great sages like the four Kumaras who are deep in meditation. That means Lord Shiva normally plays his drum, and his playing of the drum was disturbed by Lord Krishna's playing the flute. Similarly, the four Kumaras were deep in meditation, but when they heard the noise from the Krishna's flute, they became disturbed in their meditation. Not only that, there is mentioned that Lord Brahma was meditating deeply on sitting on the lotus flower to create, and he became astonished. And there's a mention of also how Anantadeva, who holds all the planets on his hood, he was moving this way and that way, swinging due to the transcendental vibration of Krishna's flute, which penetrated through the covering of the universe. That means that Anantashesha holds all the universes on his hood. But when he heard the playing of noise, when they were playing of the Krishna's flute, then his head started swinging this way and that way. These are the important points. The next important point that is mentioned is Prithu Maharaj appeared as Kshirodakasai Vishnu, who is a plenary expansion of Lordship Krishna. So, just to give a brief on this, the material creation takes place. Actually, the Lord performs many types of pastimes in various incarnations. And these incarnations are classified into six. First is the Purusha Avatara, second is the Leela Avatara, third is the Guna Avatara, fourth is the Manvantara Avatara, fifth is the Yuga Avatara, and sixth is the Shakti Avesha Avatara. There are many millions of avatars, but these are classified into these basic six categories. And the first category is the Purusha Avatara. The Purusha Avatara will have some understanding on that. When the Lord decides to take the creation, the Lord expands from Krishna to Balarama, And from Balarama, he further expands as Vasudeva, Sankarshna, Pratyumna, and Aniruddha. From that Sankarshna, the Lord expands as Narayana. From that Narayana, again the Lord expands as Vasudeva, Sankarshna, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And from that second Sankarshna, the Lord expands as Karanodakasai Vishnu or Karanornamasai Vishnu. These are two names, but the personality is the same. And when the Karanodakasai Vishnu, he lies on the Karana ocean. Just like we have an ocean made of salt, similarly, the Lord as Mahavishnu lies down on the causal ocean, and that is why it is called Karanor Nakasai Vishnu or Karanor Namasai Vishnu. They are all same. Now, when the Lord lies down, he on the causal ocean, he exhales, and from his exhalation and from the pores of his body, millions of universes are generated. And further, the Lord expands from Karanodakasai Vishnu into the first incarnation as Garbhodakasai Vishnu. This Garbhodakasai Vishnu is none other than the super soul of all the universes. And the Shastra has explained that just like our body is being maintained just because the presence of a soul in our body, similarly, all these universes are floating because of the presence of this Garbhodakasai Vishnu. So Garbhodakasai Vishnu is the super soul of all the universes. So from Karnanasai Vishnu, he expands as Garbhodakasai Vishnu and enters into each of the universe as the super soul. Then from Garbhodakasai Vishnu, he further expands as the second incarnation, and it is known as Kshirodakasai Vishnu. So here there is a mention of how Prithu Maharaj came in the form of Kshirodakasai Vishnu. Now, the Purusha avatars are manifested, and each one is called Purusha avatars. All the three, like Shri Mahavishnu or Karnavakasai Vishnu, Garbhodakasai Vishnu, Trirodakasai Vishnu, all are called Purusha avatars. And this Kshirodakasai Vishnu is the Paramatma feature of the Lord in all the living being. That means the Lord enters as a super soul as Garbhodakasai Vishnu, further expands himself as Kshirodakasai Vishnu or the super soul in the heart of all the living beings in all the universes. So this is how he is also called the super soul. There's a description in the first canto itself which says the Vishnu is the plenary portion of Garbhodakasai. Vishnu is the super soul. Okay, I mentioned about that. So all these three features are called the original Purusha incarnations. And all the incarnations within the universe are the emanations from the Kshirodakasai Vishnu. That means the Lord expands, as I mentioned, as super soul for all the living entities. And it is from this Kshirodakasai Vishnu, all the incarnations of the Lord manifest in this material world. That means whenever the Lord appears in this material world, these expansions come from the Kshirodakasai Vishnu. And his planet is mentioned as within the halo of the universe, there's a transcendental planet known as Shweta which is where the Kshirodakasai Vishnu lies down. And whenever there is a trouble in this material world, material world, there is always trouble between the demons and demigods. So the system is that whenever there is a rise of irreligion, the demigods, when they are disturbed, they approach Lord Brahma. Then they, along with Lord Brahma, approach the Kshirodakasai Vishnu in this Shweta. And that is how then the Lord agrees to resolve these issues by appearing as an incarnation. And he appears as an incarnation from Kshirodakasai Vishnu, whether it is Narasimhadev or Vamanadev, all the incarnations emanate from Kshirodakasai Vishnu, who is lying down in the planet known as Shweta. Then there's also a mention that this is a place, it's called the Ocean of Milk. And the Shweta planet are a replica of the Vaikuntha Loka within the universe. So it's a replica of Vaikuntha Loka. where neither Brahmaji nor demigods like Indra can enter into the islands of Shvetadvipa, but they can stand on the shore of the ocean of milk and transmit their message to Lord Vishnu, who is known as Shirodaksa Vishnu. That means in this planet, which is very similar to Vaikuntha planets, neither Brahma nor Indra, anyone can enter. But what they do is they approach the shore of the ocean, and from there they convey the message to Shirodaksa Vishnu. And this planet is mentioned as situated on the northern top of the universe, and it's a great ocean of milk where the Lord resides on the bed of the Ananta incarnation of Baladeva. So Baladeva is assisting the Lord in this as Ananta. Then there is a mention in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam how the creation takes place. The ingredients for the creation and the subordinate creator, that is secondary creator, Brahma, are first created by Lord Vishnu. That means Lord Vishnu makes the first creation where he creates the material elements like the elements like earth, water, fire, ether, ego, and all. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, these are created by Vishnu, and the secondary creation takes place by Lord Brahma. So the first Purusha incarnation is Mahavishnu, then the second is Garbhodaksa Vishnu, and the third is Shirodaksa Vishnu. And the Lord, as the Shirodaksa Vishnu, he maintains this universe, and later on at the time of annihilation, he annihilates the universe through Lord Shiva. Therefore, the original creator of the universe is Vishnu. And this Kshirodakasaya Vishnu also is one of the Purushas who control the material modes of nature. That means the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are under the control of this Kshirodakasaya Vishnu. Now, the position of all the incarnation is that they are not manifested. In fact, one important point in both the slokas is that these incarnations, when they appear, they are not manifest to the vision of the common man, for which it requires a divine vision. And Lord Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita 10:2 to Arjuna, he says, neither the hosts of demigod uh, nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages. Now, here in this verse, there is also mentioned the Lord is the Lord of all the demigods. So, the quote is from Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says, Aham Adirhi Devanam. That means the Lord, the demigods are all originating from Lord Krishna. So, he is addressed here as the Lord of the demigods. Now, in the case of Prithu Maharaj, he was a Shakti Avesha Avatara. I mentioned 6 categories of incarnations. One of them is Shakti Avesha Avatara. This Shakti Avesha Avatara is one where the Lord enters into a living entity to perform a particular mission. And in the case of Prithu Maharaj, like I mentioned in the previous classes, Prithu Maharaj's mission was to restore grain production in the universe. So, with that purpose, he appeared, and the Lord enters into Jiva and empowers the Jiva to perform that mission. That's why they are called Shakti Avisha Avtaras. So, uh, in the first loka, there's a mention as to how the Lord returned back to his kingdom, and then there's a mention of how the Lord is not visible to material eyes, but the Lord is visible to spiritual eyes. That means we all have material eyes, and it is not possible to see the Lord with our material senses. So, unless until we develop that spiritual eyes, which can be developed only by loving transcendental service to the Lord, we cannot see that Lord form of the Lord. So, the purification of the senses has to take place by rendering devotional service to the Lord. Now, the point is that the Lord is already situated in our heart in the four-handed form of super soul. We are not able to see our own soul that is situated within the heart. So, what to talk about? Seeing the form of the super soul who is also in the heart. So, that is why our vision is limited to seeing material objects. We don't have a vision to see spiritual objects. And the Lord is basically spiritual in nature. Scientists have tried a lot to find out details about the soul, but they have failed because uh, the soul is spiritual in nature, but Shastras describe their size also and their form also. So we cannot see the Lord. The Lord can be so small that he can enter into the smallest object, which may be it is difficult to describe in the material creation, whether it's a fly or whatever it is, or an ant. The Lord is present as the super soul in all of them. At the same time, the Lord is present in all the universes as Garbhodaka Vishnu. So we have no vision to see this, but one way we can be have a vision of the form of the Lord is there are deities, many places which describe them, which these are described as Kshirodakasai Vishnu, particularly in the south. They have a lot of Vishnu deities because they are strong worshippers of Lord Vishnu. And some places they are worshipped as Garbhodakasai Vishnu, and some places they are described as Kshirodakasai Vishnu. Uh, just as the Lord has got a spiritual body, the pure devotees of the Lord also have a spiritual body. So there's a mention as to how one time Narad Muni, he wanted to learn spiritual science. So, no, sorry, Ravana. Ravana wanted to learn spiritual science. So he went to Narada Muni and told him that I need to learn about the spiritual aspect. Narada Muni ignored, and again Ravana requested that please teach me spiritual science. Narada Muni ignored. Then it came to a stage where Ravana threatened Narada Muni that I will kill your body. And he attempted also, but nothing, no harm could be done because Narada Muni also had a spiritual body. That is also mentioned in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam as to how Narada Muni's body developed from material to spiritual when he was fully engaged in the service of the Lord. So some examples are given in the Shastras. When the Lord was present, he exhibited his universal form. Now that form was not visible to Duryodhana, though the Lord was present in front of him. And similarly, Kamsa could not identify the Lord as the Supreme Godhead. Shishupal was always envious of the Lord, but he also could not understand the Lord's position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is also a mention in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam how when Vyasadeva, who is also an empowered incarnation, Shakti Avatara, he sat under a berry tree in a Badrikashram, and it is mentioned that he fixed his mind perfectly, linking it, liking it in devotion service, without any tinge of materialism. And then he saw the personality of Godhead along with his external energy, that is Maya, which was also under full control. That means when Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam in Badrikashrama, he also meditated deeply uh, on the supreme form of the Lord, and then he became free from all. He didn't have even a tinge of any material aspect. So that is how everything was under the and he was Vyasadeva was able to compose the Srimad Bhagavatam. Similarly, there is a mention of how Narad Muni was a small boy and he sat under a banyan tree. But what happened was, he, as a small boy, he had the association of the Bhakti Vedantas, from whom he heard. And based on that, being a small boy, he meditated on that. And then what happened was that immediately tears started coming out of Narad Muni's eyes. And without delay, Lord Krishna appeared in the lotus of his heart. The purport of Bhagavad mentions that if one reaches Bhava stage, then one can see the personality of Godhead, not until then. So Brahma himself is a God mantra from the Lord, and he was in meditation for thousands of celestial years. And then when the Lord was pleased with him, the Lord revealed his kingdom. This is mentioned in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The Lord, Brahma also prays in the Brahma Samhita, which we have heard before, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochene Santas Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The translation is, I worship Govinda, the Purnaval Lord, who is Shyamasundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion, tinged with salve of love. So one cannot see the Lord with material eyes, but one can see the Lord with spiritual eyes when it is tinged with love for Krishna. So, example is given, the modes of material nature are such that our eyes, when there is a cataract, we have a problem in material vision. Similarly, the eyes have anarthas. We have anarthas like lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion, and so forth. So, as long as these anarthas are there with these material eyes, we will not be able to see a spiritual object because it is just like a cataract. But as when the cataract is removed, then one has a clear vision. So similarly, when we perform devotional service, beginning with the process of hearing and chanting, and then our body becomes spiritualized, just like Narada Muni's body was spiritualized. Similarly, when our senses are spiritualized, then we can have a vision of a spiritual vision of spiritual, seeing the spiritual objects. One example is given is that about when an aircraft flies above the clouds, one can see the sun. But when it flies below the clouds, one cannot see the sun. Similarly, when one goes above Maya, one can see Krishna, but only when one is under Maya, one cannot see Krishna. The next point that is mentioned in the Sloka 38 is about Avyakta. Now, Avyakta means unmanifested. So the material world is manifested in front of us. So we are able to see a material object. The Lord is a creation of this material world, but still he is unmanifested to the material eyes. That means the Lord has got a form, but in front of our eyes he is unmanifested. So one has to develop spiritual eyes by the process of hearing and chanting. When the eyes are spiritualized, when the senses are spiritualized, then the body also becomes spiritualized. That is the time we don't have any taste for material. We don't have any material desire. That is the time one can see Krishna. And one example that is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam is, we all know this pastime when Krishna and Balaram were one time hungry. They sent the cowherd boys to the Brahmanas who were performing the rituals, but they refused, saying that we are performing Homa, so we cannot give anything until the Homa is over, sacrifice is over. But then Krishna and Balaram, they sent the cowherd boys to the Brahmana's wives. And the moment they went to Brahmana's wife, they were immediately ready to serve Krishna. So this is the difference. The Brahmanas were engaged in ritualistic activities, and they were refused to uh, honor Krishna's demands. But the Brahmanas' wives, they immediately said, yes, 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 Krishna wants this, okay, we are ready to serve. So this is the difference between pure devotees and ritualistic Brahmanas. There is also mentioned the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which says that King Chitraketu, okay, we all know the pastime of King Chitraketu. So King Chitraketu had the opportunity to see Lord as Anantadev. And when he had the vision of Anantadev, Anantadev is glorifying King Chitraketu by saying, O King, as a result of your having accepted the instructions given by Narada and Angira, you have become completely aware of the transcendent knowledge. Because you are educated in the spiritual science, you have been able to see me face to face. Similarly, if one takes the instructions of the spiritual master, after undergoing proper training, one becomes qualified to see the Lord face to face. So, King Chitraketu's pastime, you all know that he didn't have a son with so many wives also. Then he was insistent on having a son when Narad Muni passed by. And at that time, Narad Muni said that you can have a son, but he will become a cause of blessing as well as distress. But Chitraketu was adamant. So Narad Muni blessed, and then he had a child with one of the wives, and that wife became in the other wives of Chitraketu became envious because they didn't have a child, and they saw that this wife who had a child, uh, uh, the Chitraketu developed a lot of affection for the first wife through whom he had this child. So they became envious of the wife as well as the child and Chitraketu, and they poisoned the child, and the child died, left his body. So when Chitraketu saw that his son left his body, he lamented. And that is the time when Narad Muni and Angira Rishi passed by again, and they said, yes, we already told you, he will become a cause of happiness as well as distress. And they gave him transcendental knowledge. And based on the transcendental knowledge given to him, imparted to him, Chitraketu, by Narad Muni and Angira Rishi, Chitraketu became spiritually educated, and he was able to see, he was meditating on Anantadev, and he could see Lord Anantadev face to face. And that is when Lord Anantadev then tells Chitraketu that you have been able to see me because you accepted the instructions of Narada Muni and Angira Rishi. So similarly, the conclusion is given that if one obeys the instructions of the spiritual master, after undergoing proper training, one can become qualified to see the Lord face to face. There is one example given during Srila Prabhupada's time, where it is said that Srila Prabhupada installed Radha Krishna deities in Paris, and he named them as Radha Parishi, Paris Ishvara. So he performed the installation ceremony, and then he did the arti. So at that time, some devotees took the photos, and the devotees showed this photograph of Srila Prabhupada performing arti and installation to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada looked at that picture, and he saw himself doing the arti, and he saw one photo, and he told the devotee, see, I'm looking at Krishna and Krishna is looking at me. That means there were many photos, and in one photo, Prabhupada said, I'm looking at Krishna and Krishna is looking at me. That means Srila Prabhupada could see the form of Krishna even in the photo of the Lord, whom he himself installed. That means the point is that pure devotees of the Lord can see Krishna and anything related to Krishna because they are free from all tinge of any material desires. The other point that is mentioned here is also about how Shishupal, Duryodhana, none of them could see the Lord, though the Lord was present. But Arjuna was given a divine vision by which he could see the universal form. Bhishmadev saw, and even though Bhishmadev and others saw the universal form of the Lord, but still they were obliged to be Kauravas. So it is not very easy to see the form of the Lord. And that is why in this verse, the Lord is described as Sandarshidatma. That means he reveals himself to the vision of the devotees, although he is not visible to the ordinary eyes. That means the Lord is not visible to ordinary eyes, but he can manifest himself to the vision of the pure devotees of the Lord. So these are the points that I had in today's sloka. If any of you have got any questions and comments, they can ask me.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandata.
Yeah, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, very wonderful class, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot for that. And Prabhuji, like, as you were mentioning, like, yes, of course, if you want to see Krishna, you have to come to the transcendental platform. And we can, only then we can see, like, else when we have some material attachments, we cannot see.
Yes.
So, thing is, Prabhuji, like, since we are like mechanically chanting and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, what is our hope, Prabhuji? How can we come a day? Should we like? I don't know how exactly we can come to that. I can come to that stage. So can you help me out that what exactly I should do so that I can come to that transcendental stage? Please, can you help me out with this?
One thing is that the process, as I mentioned, starts with hearing and chanting. So the more you hear, the more you chant. The Lord is absolute, and I have not come to that stage of realization. But Srila Prabhupada also has quoted, our acharyas have also quoted, that by proper hearing and chanting, which is the means of deliverance in this Kali Yuga, we can come to a stage where our uh, senses become purified. The Lord is also present in the form of Archa Vigraha, and the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord is non different from the Lord Himself. So, when one comes to the temple, one should deeply meditate to see the form of the Lord and meditate on the form of the Lord. That is one way of developing attraction to the form of the Lord, because the deity form of, though it looks like a material form, it is actually spiritual in nature, because by proper installation process, the Lord is manifested into the deity. So we can meditate on that also. It is does not mean that one should have a deity only. One can have a picture and meditate on that form of the Lord also. And of course, Srila Prabhupada has seen some pictures and recommended, not that we buy anything from the market. So uh, we can contemplate on the form of the Lord on those also and admire the beauty of the Lord. Then, of course, our process of seeing the Lord starts building up only by the process of hearing and chanting. Like the Lord has got many beautiful qualities, like I mentioned, just two of them. Lord Shiva was disturbed when he was playing his drums, when he heard the drums voice of the Lord. Similarly, the Kumaras were disturbed. So we are not on that platform, but gradually by the process of hearing and chanting, we should develop that taste that whatever service I'm doing, I must do it in such a way that my focus is on that only. When we hear, when we chant, we should try to hear the voice very clearly. That will take us one day to the process of by purification. We will also be able to develop spiritual eyes. This is what my Guru Maharaj has also mentioned. That he mentioned so many lectures that we should develop love for Krishna at least in this lifetime. We should try and the rest we leave it to the Lord, but we must also attempt on that, make an attempt on that. Similarly, people, devotees go on a yatra. We should go and hear about the yatra. We should hear about the pastimes. So when we contemplate on these things, that gradually our senses can become purified, whether seeing or hearing or chanting. Alone, nothing can happen. You have to be in the association of devotees.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, yes. And one more thing, I think, Prabhuji, I realized that without the mercy of Krishna, nothing happens. Like only, like you can see Dhruv Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, everywhere, will be just mercy of a devotee, of Krishna's devotee or direct Krishna's mercy only. Only then they can able to grow, isn't it, Prabhuji?
You cannot get Krishna's mercy without the mercy of pure devotees of the Lord. So the moment you get the association of pure devotees of the Lord, you must try to take that benefit, and gradually that mercy will flow us, direct us towards the mercy of Lord Krishna. So first it begins with mercy of pure devotees. Then the next step could be mercy of Krishna. We have seen the Damodar Leela also. Our endeavor is also required, and then Krishna's mercy flows. Without endeavor, no mercy will come.
Correct, correct, correct. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you. Jai.
Anybody else? Any other questions, comments? If not, take the class as closed.